wondering if first you can give us a little background in your history in the cannabis industry. I know you've been a member of Privateer Holdings and also a board member of Tilray. So if you can give our viewers a little bit of color, with your experience in the industry.
Sure. Well, thank you very much for having me. I've been an investor in the industry since 2013. We made a large investment in Privateer Holdings, of which I took a board seat, and really did all my cannabis investing through that platform until last year when we spun out the remaining assets of Privateer. And so we spun out Tilray a couple of years ago. I sit on the board of Tilray, which is a NASDAQ listed company. And we spun out our other assets like Leafly and others. And I brought on a partner and we started to make seed investments in some cannabis startups. We had thought about launching a public markets fund, but we saw that the market was, collapsing towards the summer of last year. And so we decided to pivot and launched the largest SPAC in Canadian history, focused on acquiring, one or two US cannabis assets.
Perfect. So one of the things I've seen, with Subversive and this deal is it looks like limited redemption and an upsized private placement. So can you talk a little of the demand for this deal and the strong response that you've seen from investors?
Yeah, we're very lucky to have some great investors, in our book. People stayed into the deal, knowing and believing that, this stock would significantly re-rate on closing. We see that happening now with an anticipated closing for tomorrow. And we had limited redemptions because of it. So coming in with a $381 million war chest, obviously makes us the clear winner, not just in the state of California, but cannabis generally.
Awesome. So one of the things I saw was owning the supply chain and vertical integration. So, we've seen that with some bigger technology companies and auto manufacturers. Why is that so important in the cannabis space?
So in cannabis, you need to be vertically integrated to capture the margin. It won't be like that when prohibition ends. For now, it's extraordinarily important to own from cultivation to your DTC retail. And so we've built the largest vertically integrated omnichannel platform in the state by merging Caliva and Left Coast Ventures together.
Perfect. I want to turn to Jay-Z. So he's going to be the chief visionary officer of the parent company. He's a well-known artist, but, definitely, getting his toes into business. We've heard him in his song say, "I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman." So can you speak to what Jay-Z brings to the parent company and how his influence can help it grow?
Sure. We were honored to have him join as an executive with being chief visionary officer with the responsibility of really building out that house of brands for us. And, the reason for our excitement is you cannot advertise or market cannabis using traditional channels. And so you require that sort of earned media. And so earned media, because it's Jay-Z and our relationship now with Roc Nation, having exclusive access to their artists and athletes, but also taking the brand playbook that Jay-Z has been so successful with, things like Puma and Ace of Spades. Ace of Spades, most people don't know this, but it's the fastest growing champagne and spirits brand in the world, and it's owned by Jay-Z. And so you don't associate it with Jay-Z, but, LeBron James wins the championship, he's holding an Ace of Spades. Beyonce's Disney Plus movie, Ace of Spades is in it. Ace of Spades is in multiple hip hop lyrics and in multiple hip hop videos. We're going to do the same thing for the brands of the parent company.
So you mentioned Roc Nation, well-known brand, have an impressive roster of athletes and musicians, Alicia Keys, Big Shawn, Christina Aguilera, Kyrie Irving, Jalen Rose. What kind of partnerships and endorsements could we see in the future kind of connecting Roc with the cannabis brands under the parent company?
Yeah, this is sort of the next phase. We'll start launching new brands in concert with various artists associated or represented by Roc Nation. And we're also really honored to have a number of the rock artists as investors in the parent company, like Rihanna and Micheal and DJ Khaled.
Perfect. So one of the big stories for cannabis 2021 and beyond is going to be, Joe Biden as president. I saw mentioned in one of your releases, Democratic majority now. So what do you see as the outlook for cannabis in 2021 and over the next 4 years? Do we continue to see state by state basis, or do you think we get to federal legalization in the next 4 years?
Yeah, so I think it actually happens a lot sooner than 4 years. So 2021, we will see in the first instance, the Garland Justice Department put out guidance similar to the Cole memo, which will get the states comfortable, but also the listing agencies like NASDAQ and the NYSE comfortable. Because we're listed on a senior exchange in Canada, on the NEO exchange, we believe we'll be one of the first names, if not the first name to list on a US exchange in this calendar year. Legislatively, because the Democrats won in Georgia, and now we control both the Senate and the House of Representatives as well as the White House, we'll get something more progressive than the states in the SAFE Act and something slightly less progressive than the MORE Act. The good news is that we'll, whatever bill does pass within the next 12 to 24 months, will end prohibition as well as begin to rectify the wrongs of prohibition, particularly as it affected communities of color.
Awesome. So I want to have an aggressive merger and acquisition plan. So revenue guidance for 2021 is $334 million. How much of that is kind of based on organic growth and how much of that is foreseen coming from some possible mergers down the road?
Yes, the 334 number is 100% organic growth. And so now that we've got a $381 million war chest as well as a rising stock price, we're going to be doing significant M&A in the state of California to consolidate and dominate that market. So we'll see those revenue numbers, be in excess of our organic numbers that we've posted.
And then can you talk a little bit about CBD? So it looks like the number one topical and bath CBD brand in over 2,500 stores. Could that help expand Caliva and some of these other brands like on a national scale once that happens?
Yeah, I mean, CBD has always been sort of a way to get, your brands into people's hands and then convert them into THC when it's legal. We'll continue to explore ways in which we can use the sort of federally legal CBD market to get our brands into people's hands.